Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're going to be concentrating on the lost chapter for Ramza, the hero of Ivalice Part 10. And of course this will be concentrated on the hard mode fight. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is probably the shortest last fight of the lost chapters so far. It only consists of 3 waves where you're gonna be fighting one dragon for the first wave, a second dragon for the second wave, and 2 holy dragons for the last wave. I do believe it goes fire, ice, and then 2 holy dragons. Nothing too exciting really. So without further ado, let's get on with some general tips and guide for this fight. Now for the first one, like always, is to save half of your abilities for the last wave. In this case, you're probably gonna need a little bit more than half of your abilities, but that is just my suggestion. You can definitely do it with half your abilities, but I feel like you're gonna need a little bit more since you're gonna be taking down 2 holy dragons on the last wave. Now mind you, the first 2 waves aren't that hard, so you can get away with not using a lot of your abilities. You can probably buff a little bit here and there, but it's definitely doable without using a lot of your abilities. Although the turn rate will be quite high, so just keep that in mind. For the second one is to bring in the boosted characters such as Ramza, Zidane, I like calling him Zidane, and Waka. And for the third one is basically, this is for the last wave. The holy dragons will always start with their holy breath attack, so be careful if you plan to use HP attacks at the start of your turn. As you guys will see later on, I actually used my HP attack, but I had Aiko do the last attack and made sure I use Smite and be able to return all that brave so I don't get broken. Also, be careful of using debuffs on the bosses, because they will remove it without using a turn once they hit half of their HP, and this tends to happen 100% of the time, so just be careful. Now my next tip for you guys is to actually bring in healers, buffers, and I suppose the healers are brave batteries all in one. They are definitely welcome here. However, defeating this fight without any healer is quite possible. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, you probably don't actually really need a healer in this fight. I feel like a very good brave battery is well and good enough for this fight. For the next tip is definitely bring in Ifrit for this fight, because you really want that 20% attack. And because the holy dragons have very high brave, you want to make sure you're able to break them as much as possible. So while they only have one weakness, and it is to dark elements, so there's no summon that has dark element at this point, so Ifrit is probably your best choice. Now as for my suggestion for other characters you can use that are not boosted, obviously there's the god Saz, and we have Kane as well, as you guys can see, Lightning Aiko, Aerith Tidus. Just be careful with Tidus and make sure that you can reapply your slash debuff later on after they've basically removed it. And Prish and Cecil is probably the only one that has dark abilities. I know Waka's move is dark attack, but I don't think it's dark element at all. So And with Cecil, you do have to be careful because there is that small chance that you use up all his HP and he just gets HP attack and he dies. And it's probably good to bring Aerith with Cecil if you really want to bring him. And guys, I actually realized that I haven't been giving you guys any suggestions in terms of your support characters to bring, but I feel like the suggested characters that I have mentioned are well and good enough as your support character. You just have to make sure they have very good synergy with your main team. But I think that's it for the general tips and guides. Let's take a look at this fight wave by wave. Okay, so the first wave, you're gonna be fighting a level 70 red dragon. Now, the red dragon is nothing that we haven't faced before, so this is pretty easy. I mean, it only has fire abilities and tail hammer for its HP attack, and of course when it does a charge, when it starts to charge, you need to be able to break it because it's gonna do a ton of brave damage plus an HP attack to the end of that. So I mean, like I said earlier, this is pretty doable without actually using a lot of your abilities. It's just your turn rate will be high and there is a limit to the turn rate that you can have. So just be careful and watch that turn rate, and just make sure you don't actually go over the amount of minimum turns that you can have, or maximum turns I should say. So without further ado, let's get on to the next wave. So the next wave is basically the reverse. While you faced the red dragon earlier, it's weak to ice based attack. The blue dragon is weak to fire based attacks. And it's pretty much just the same thing to worry about. I mean, you can definitely bring characters that you can take advantage of all these weak, like elemental weaknesses, such as Papalymo that comes to mind because he has both fire and ice, but you really want to save those abilities towards the end anyway. So I'll leave it up to you guys if you really want to use all your abilities at the early stage. But the blue dragon is essentially just the same as the red dragon, and it's just basically ice based attacks instead of fire based attacks. And I do believe this is actually a lower level. I do believe it's level 65, and yeah, and let's get on with the last wave. And for the last wave, you're gonna be taking down 2 level 70 holy dragons. Now they are weak to dark type attacks, however they don't have, or should I say, the good thing is they actually don't have any resistances. As for its ability, it has access to Holy, which is a Holy Brave magic attack, Tail Hammer, which is a melee HP attack, Holy Breath, which is a group Holy Brave magic attack, Heavenly Wrath, which is a melee Brave attack plus HP attack, and Heavenly Ray, which is a 10-hit group Holy Brave magic attack and can also remove his own debuffs without frames. He has access to Slow Shot, which is a brave magic attack and can also inflict speed down. And he has the ability called Howl, which raises his attack and removes his own debuffs without frames. And he uses Howl even though it's not his turn. So this is what I mean about being about half HP. He will always most likely use Howl. And this is what I mentioned earlier about bringing the buffers for this fight. And so we're finally at the end of this video, and just a couple of things that I do want to say, like I always do, and things to watch out for is basically the Heavenly Ray, because you really don't want to get broken, especially if you see that all attack. Just be careful because it can be either the Holy Breath or the Heavenly Ray, and if you get hit by the Heavenly Ray, man, that's pretty painful. So just be careful out there and try not to actually get hit by this. And if you do, I mean, having a healer will always be like an extra help for you guys. But like I said, it's definitely possible not to actually bring a healer for this fight and finish this fight as well. But yeah, you just have to be a little bit more careful, I suppose, when you don't have a healer. I brought Aiko because, like I said earlier or in my last video, the combination with Saz and Aiko is actually really good, and I really like it. So, and like I said earlier, and I'm just reiterating it, is the affliction of debuffs. So just be careful, because he does, at least in my opinion, they always use Howl once they get to like half of their HP. So I know I said 100% of the time they will do this, but this is just from my experience, okay? I don't know if they actually use Howl at a certain point, you know, other than half of their HP is gone, but in my experience they always tend to do that. So that's just my experience, okay? So, and if you guys find that he's using Howl at some different point in the fight, then please by all means let me know in the comments below. But I never really experienced that, or maybe I didn't pay enough attention to it, because I only see it happen when I'm like, oh, half HP now, and then suddenly use Howl, and you know, all the debuffs disappear. So I feel like this is probably not the best course of action. But I think I'll end the video right here, guys. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys. Which team did you use to actually beat this fight? And like I said, if I missed anything for my tips, or if you guys have any further suggestion, please leave them down in the comments below. Also, make sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.